Well, thank you very much. It's a bit overwhelming, so I'll just kick straight off. Right. So, there's an old rugby expression that says, get your retaliation in first. And I studied the phenotype of Professor Hart over the years, and you can see he's had some problems with his hair follicles. I always thought ab initio, he showed a remarkable resemblance to Phil Collins. Had the same problem. And this is a plaintive letter to an agony column asking what to do when you got to this particular point. As you can see, Professor Hart has actually gone for the penis head look. Finally given up, and that's it. So Ian, thank you very much indeed for all your kind words. Yes. So, this is one of my sayings which has been repeated today. Much chance of one-legged man and ass-kicking competition. I want to tell you why the first time I actually used this expression. And it happened when I was recruited to Barcelona. And Dean said he didn't know it happened. I'm going to tell you how it happened. In October 2000, I was about to give the Anthony Dawson lecture at William Harvey Day, and there's the actual program from 2000. And I went to the meeting, and it was all right, and I went to a very poorly attended service at Barts the Great. There were 4 people walking in the procession. Well, this is very good. And I was sat down at the end of the table having dinner, and I was approached by 2 very formidable women. One of those was Professor Elaine Murphy, who was then the chairman of the Area Health Authority. The other one was Mrs. Elsie Gilding, who was the acting chairman of the Trust. And they came up to me and they said, "You're Nick Wright, aren't you?" So they're now being fatuous. I said, "Yes." They said, "Are you applying for our warden's job?" I said, "Oh." So I thought, well, what did I know about Barcelona? I knew this, the 1996 RAE. You can see how poorly they behaved, and you can see it's immediately juxtaposition to the Royal Postgraduate Medical School, who did extremely well. So I didn't think much of that. Then, of course, I knew about this appalling and corrosive fight that Barts and the London had during their merger, and it was part of this article in BMJ, When Giants Fight. And so I said, no. So they said, why not? I said, because Barts is a second-rate medical school. And so they didn't bat an eyelid. And Elsie Gilding said, maybe that's why you should apply. That's why I never thought of that. And I wasn't very happy to hear that. I went back and I said to my wife, I said, what do you think about this? She said, well, you know, you might do some good there. But I wasn't doing good at Imperial College. So I applied for the job. And I got it. When I went back to Imperial, they said, ask if you're down this way, sir. But, you'd be surprised to know, man with one leg wins archery contest. And so, it's not been without success. And I want to try and tell you why I think it's been successful. It's got very little to do with me, and a great deal to do with a lot of other people. And your success is all the sweeter it's built on real effort, especially when the effort is someone else's. And there's no doubt about it, in my career, it's dependent upon other people. My modest talent, but the people I work with have enormous talent. And I want to tell you a bit about it, because I owe them a great deal. And the first person I want to mention is Alec Watson, who sadly died a few years ago. He was my mentor in Newcastle. He was trained in the Clyde Silasher damp pathologist, very, very severe school of Robert Muir. And he made my life an absolute misery when I was a young demonstrator in Newcastle. Nothing, but nothing was good enough. And he railed against me, he had me cutting up things, and died even in the night. It was appalling. Eventually, I learned to satisfy him. So I owe him a great deal. And before I met John Azzopardi, he was the best all-round opinion I ever met in the surgical pathology. And then, of course, there are these 2 gentlemen. You heard from David this morning, and Adrian Morley is sat up there. These were my first collaborators. And from David, mathematician, statistician, I learned the difference between accuracy and precision, a lesson I've always valued. And for Adrian, the principles of the experimental method. And those formative years in Newcastle, studying things like the cell proliferation in the mouse prostate complex, really taught me the grounding of how experiments should be done. So there's no doubt with David and Adrian, I have a great deal of my early success because they showed me the ways things could be done. And this is a verse from the song they wrote, and it's earth and fun, it's a great deal of truth. There was Bill and Alec, Paul and Richard, Hugh Taper and Jim, Sam and Janet, Dave, Mohammed, Reg and me. We were looking at adrenals, prostate, tumors, crypt and skin, while Nick wrote up for his PhD. That meant I did very little work, and a lot of people did everything else. So that just epitomises for me the way to approach advancement in your career. Get other people to do the work. Then I went to Oxford, and moving rapidly on. Another period of my life which was not particularly happy. So in my inaugural lecture, I told you about my problems. I'm going to be very positive tonight. I'm not going to say anything bad about anybody. Apart from Ian Hart. So I've been in Oxford for about 2 or 3 years, and I thought, well, I want to be a professor, or be head of a department. So I was ambitious, and I thought, well, where am I going to go? And I thought, well, I'll apply for the next chair that's advertised. And to my severe angst, it was in London, and it was at the Royal Postgraduate Medical School, which was a frightening place for me because I'd done my final MRC path there, and I'd been terrified out of my wits. And so I said, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained, so I went for it. And for some reason, John Humphreys took a shine to me. And he was the kingmaker, and he made sure I got the job. So this was the first experience of a sponsor. Like he, like me, he made sure I got the job. So I was pitched at the age of 35, 36 into this lion's den. And believe me, it was a lion's den. And when I went to Oxford and told Richard Dull I got the job, oh, he said, not the easiest place for your first chair. I thought, well, that's very interesting. And there's no doubt about it, it was a very, very difficult place. There were a great deal of very important people there. They were very aggressive, they were very strong, very powerful, and it was really like being in a shark-infested pool because it was so difficult. And I found this letter my first day. I was reading actually my archives in the office. It said, "Dear Mr. Gilbert, I received your letter of 3rd of December offering an apology, but in such terms, in so objectionable a context, it's entirely unacceptable." Well, this is a great place to be. And I suppose my major difficulty, and probably with all professors of pathology and Hammersmith, because we had smaller departments, was the Department of Medicine. The Department of Medicine had 450 people in it. It was enormous, and they ruled the roost. And it was all, again, epitomized by Keith Peters, now Sir Keith Peters, who was Professor of Medicine. And he was a very powerful person. And all the resources went to medicine and surgery, and the pathologists were forgotten about until we clubbed together. And we outvoted medicine and surgery, the academic board, and as chairman of pathology, I organised that. So much so that Keith Peters said, "I'm never making another professor of pathology." So I just learned this from him, of rules for swimming sharks. And you young people who want to actually go work in these august institutions, you may want to look at this. Some of you have seen this before. So the rules for swimming with sharks as follows. Assume all unidentified fish are sharks, or your colleagues. Do not disobey this rule unless you witness benign behaviour in the presence of blood on at least 3 occasions. Counter any aggression promptly. Use anticipatory retaliation. Recognize organised attacks immediately, because people do gang up on you. They really do. Watch that very carefully. If someone else is bleeding, get out of the water. And the most important rule of all is, don't bleed. And I've told you this story before. Again, this is C.E. Oakley, who never liked me. She's a professor of cardiology. We had several conferences on earlier in my sojourn at Hammersmith. And this is a true story. When I became the dean, there was a sort of dinner for me, and all my colleagues attended, dutifully I suppose. And Celia was sat next to my wife, Vera. And she turned and she said, "I don't think much of this I don't think much of this new Dean Nick Wright. Do you know him at all? So my poor wife sort of drew herself up to 4'5'2" and said, "Yes, I've been married for 23 years." Celia, totally out of knock face, said, "More fool you." So this gives you the flavour of what working in the RPF is like. And I found this from perhaps the first report we had from Hammersmith. We had to write an annual report. And these were the people who really helped me in those early years. I haven't got photographs of all of them, but you got David Evans, I couldn't find one. But Tony Pierce, Paul Lewis, Alan Farley, Julia Polak, Susan lifting a pint there, Malcolm Allison, who came with me from Newcastle, then Oxford to RPMS, as he told us this morning, and one or two very nice clinicians, like Humphrey Hodgson. I don't remember he took pity on me, but he liked me genuinely, but he was a major support for me in the RPMS. So this rather small department, but I think we did extremely well. Just to show you how well I think that department did, these are the professors over the years that came out from the RPMS and the ICRF collaboratives. And you can see on the name of the wall, you can see Thomas Trouts there, there's a very young Mark Novelli there, there's Adrian Flanagan, Chris Foster, Massimo Pignatelli, Latch, Richard, there's a Peter Hall with a collar on his head. And it may surprise you to see the person on the right with Mike Stratton. Now, Stratton's a very important person in cancer genomics, but he couldn't get a job, and he was a neuropathologist, and he came to Hammersmith, and I gave him a job. And he worked for two and a half years with us, and he then went off, he did his MRC path, and went back to neuropathology. And then he realized the problem, he came back, said, "Get me a job," got a PhD with Chris Marshall, and the rest is history. So it's not generally known that we gave Mike Stratton the start of his career. Then you can see there are three clinicians, Ray Clayford and Stuart, who are at today, who actually came from my lab as well. So I think for the RPMS, in terms of hegemony, did extremely well. And there you see there's Peter O'Connell. And this, of course, is our president of the Pathological Society, Adrienne. And what she didn't tell you today, that when I got this phone call from her father, berating me for treating her badly, we'd given her a peptic ulcer, and we'd broken her back, and she couldn't move. And he berated me for treating her so badly, and I was duly qualified. So, Adrienne, thank you for that. In 1987-88, I was talked to by Walter Bomber, "Come and bring your effort to the ICRF." And this, in many ways, was a game changer for me, because working in universities is fine, but it's hard work. And the thing about the Imperial Cancer Research Fund is that it's probably the best place I've ever been to do research. And the reason for this is because of the central services. The budget was top sliced at £19 million at that time, Walter, and spent on the central services. And these central services did not come out of your lab budget. So you had your lab budget and the central services. And there was antibody production, inside hybridization, everything, animal house. Your animal charges did not come out of your budget. It was just phenomenal. If you can't do good research there, you couldn't do it anywhere. And I think, as Ian has said, the atmosphere and the way people worked in the ICRF was among the best I've ever known. It's a very happy time for me. And the only downside, of course, is the quinquennial reviews. In later life, I became director of clinical research. I attended a quinquennial review for Paul Nurse. And he was nervous. And I said, "Paul, what are you nervous about? The Bell Prize winner." He said, "A quinquennial review." So even the quinquennial review would put the wind up to the Bell Prize winners. They were very difficult times. Walter, thank you for that. And the ICRF was a very interesting place. Walter was the Director General, and there was Mike Crumpton, Bill House, George Stark, Thomas Lindahl, Paul Nurse, John Toos. A real galaxy of talent, scientific talent, and also leadership talent. And again, I learned a great deal from him. And what I learned from Walter was delegation. If you were Director of Clinical Research, the clinical research bit was your responsibility. It was your budget, and you would not interfere unless things went catastrophically wrong. You had to deal with it. And I tried to use that mantra, delegation of responsibility in everything I've done. And also I learned that from you. And high standards I learned from all of them, but particularly Mike Crumpton. Mike, where are you? So, when I started as Director of Clinical Research, there were these things called career tenure track positions, where young scientists were given 6-year positions. And after 4 years, it was crunch time, there was a review of their work, and they maybe got tenure or did not. So I said to Mike, I said, how many young scientists in this tenure track get tenure? He said, I can do his accent, about 50% of those who ask. And I said, well, how many people ask? Oh, he said, I don't encourage many to ask. And the only person we ever fell out about, Mike, was Paul Fremont. If you remember, I was very keen on Paul Fremont because he was the only crystallographer I could understand, and we worked together. You were very doubtful about it, but I think I may have been right this time because he became Professor of Crystallography at Imperial College and then head of biochemistry, so he's not done too bad. And then, of course, there was the happiness of having such a big and happy and productive group at the ICF. These are, I'm not going to go through more because there's not time, but these are our clinical fellows, our PhD students, our technical staff, who made such working in the histopathology unit at ICF a real pleasure. And this is a photograph taken after our successful Queen Quentin at one time. I just want to mention a few people, because if you're the dean of a medical school and you're also running a large and complex lab, you need to devolve on people. And I often think that the problem in which university researchers have in maintaining their effort is they do not have permanent staff within their laboratories. The ICRF, what you know, you've had senior postdocs who are there for a long time with you. They are for continuity between postdocs and PhD students. And I think we should try and replicate that in the university, because I have the following people. George Elia, who was perhaps one of the best senior chief technicians I've ever worked with. And Robert Goodlad, who was a very skilled gut researcher. Bill Otto, help anybody, Bill, to the detriment of his own research, which I often told him about. Rosemary Jeffrey, one of the best histotechnologists I've ever worked with. Richard Poulsen, you've heard of before, I have the utmost admiration for him because he made everything work he touched. And of course, the various ages of Malcolm Owens. And he did admit he's got to have a spectacular matrimonial history. So, with these people, I was able to run a medical school and also run a successful lab. And you see, it all depends on the efforts of other people. So, this is a lab that I owe a successful lab to these people as well. So, who would be a medical school dean? Why did this happen? Well, honestly, I don't know. I think what actually happened in Hammersmith was that we were facing merger with Imperial College as a result of Tomlinson's machinations, and with Charing Cross and St Mary's. And my colleagues emotionally blackmailed me to take the position of dean. I had no ambition to become medical school dean, but I did. And I certainly did not, I certainly regretted it in the first few years, because it's a curious decision. And it was a very difficult time. Any merger is difficult. And I always had problems with deans. These are some of the deans I've known: John Walton, David Kerr, Colin Dollery, Christopher Edwards. Some of them you know. And it always seemed to me that some people dream of success while other people live to crush those dreams. And deans always seemed to want to crush my dreams. Everything I wanted to do was crushed. So I had a maxim in my life: never, ever trust a dean. And so why did I become a dean? Well, I tried to tell you about that. And of course, it goes on to even worse things, because after the merger, I transmogrified from being dean of the RPMS, from vice principal of research at the Imperial College School of Medicine, and then as deputy principal. And I'm not going to say anything derogatory about anybody tonight, but those were among the most unhappy years of my life. The only time I've been genuinely unhappy was trying to make that merger work with a senior administration of Imperial College who didn't have a clue about running medical school. And he was just bashing his head against a brick wall. That's enough money. So I became a warden. Those of you who follow Warcraft and other games will know that wardens have the right to sign television to be able to blink. They can use that to do with a quick use of phone. So I became a warden. And I was blessed during my time over there having a very, very supportive senior management team. Adrian Smith. When I first started at the school, we were £5 million in debt. It was increasing year on year. So every Tuesday morning before the PSG meetings, I had to see him at 8:30 to tell him what I was doing. After about 4 or 5 of this, he said, "You don't really want these, do you?" I said, "No." So we stopped those. And he said to me, he said, "You bring the medical school into balance and I will leave you alone." And we did that, and we were able to net off the medical school against the rest of the college. So that was really the best decision we had. We were self-sufficient, we could just use our own budget. And that's really, again, epitomizes to me the value of delegation. If you're going to appoint people you trust to do things, you let them get on with it. You don't interfere. You say, "There's the budget, here's your people, go and do it. I'm there if you need me." And I learned again this in Walter, also Adrian Smith. It was also helped that we had very good chairman of council at that time, Christopher France, who was a civil servant in Collecbo, who seemed to be very supportive of everything we wanted to do with the medical school. So we're just surrounded by a network of very supportive people. And of course, Warden's team, I didn't change the structure of anything when I came really, because it seemed to work very well for a medical and dental school. I'm not going to go through the names again, but you can see them there. And I found again this very, very good, because these people knew what they were doing. There's no doubt they knew what they were doing. And all I did was to nudge them in the right direction. And because of that, I think it was highly successful. And then, of course, the school executive team, you appoint these people as directors of departments, of divisions, and then you leave them to get on with it. And I think this idea I had is, one good thing about the Hammersmith was that there was a great deal of turmoil between the departments, and people competing for money and space, and all the heads of departments were real robber barons. When I came to this medical school in 2001, there was no competition at all. So what I wanted these people to do was to compete for space, compete for money, and really become very abrasive with each other. And then suddenly says that succeeded. Not as much as I'd like it to be. Because I think there is a thing called creative tension. If tension becomes too much, it becomes corrosive. But creative tension is very good. So looking at these heads did such a good job for me. Again, I relied on what they did, and they did all the work. I think we're also blessed with some extremely good research teams, because delivering the research message of the school, the strategy, is very important. And if you again select very good people, I really like Tom McDonald. These were the people who I delegated to run the research in the medical school. And they just did it so well, and just do very little. Again, bask in reflective glory. So I'm very grateful for that. Jack Frost, yeah. Looks just like you, doesn't it? And if you are going to go medical student, I wouldn't advise any to become one, incidentally. And the person who is most important in your life is the school secretary. Because he or she takes all the burden off you in terms of what I call administration. Medical school deans are not administrators, we're academics. And if you think about all you do is leadership, you don't do administration. People used to say to me, "You must have an enormous amount of administration." I say, "I do no administration at all. I make decisions, or try to make decisions, and I have professionals who actually do the administration." And when I was at Hammersmith, I had Neil Gershon, who unfortunately can't be here, he's very good, and Julian acted in Imperial. Peter Davis started with me in this medical school, and then Rob Bennett. And these were exemplary, very, very good school secretaries. And of course, I mentioned Dean Curtis. Here he is with the fruits of his latest marriage. And again, he was extremely supportive, because I think he understood what we were about. We had a plan. We were going to turn around the medical school, and he, well, I don't know how he did. I don't know how he and Pete found the money, but more of that in the moment. So I also, Dean, I'm very grateful to you for what you did for us. And I can't not mention Paul Wright here, because the only part of the medical school, dental school, to do anything in the 2001 RE were the dentists who got a 5. And once we netted the school away, I managed to persuade Paul, very altruistically, that he owed to give the medical school some money. So for those first 2 years, the dental school supported the medical school. And without that support, before we got the RE Investment Fund from the college, Without that support, we'd have probably gone to the wall, because we were facing this enormous debt, £5 million. We had to get rid of it. We had to do an enormous restructuring exercise, sacked a lot of people, and without that support from the dental school, we'd have been stuck, basically. So, Paul, thank you very much indeed. Just one person I want to single out, and that's Pete Davis. We came together when we ran the clinical rating for cancer, for pathology at Hammersmith, and he was my pathology manager. It was a very large directorate, but 40 million pound budget in those days. And we met every Friday at 8 o'clock with Jeremy, and we did had a 2-hour meeting, and we ran through it. And all we did was make decisions, and Pete and his colleagues will go into it. And I think that's the way you should run any enterprise. You provide the leadership and the decisions, and you get professional administrators who know what they're doing to carry that. And Pete, I'm very grateful for all your support. And when you came to this place, you laid down the basis of the thing we have today, divisional managers reporting to you and to the divisional head, and the way in which we ran the school then was all down to you. Thank you very much indeed. And then, of course, with the monies we don't know where they came from, we needed a quick hit. So although we encouraged junior investigators, we needed to get established people into the school. So we started appointing professors. And I got some of them here, there. So I think in the end we appointed about 80 to 90 new chairs within the school within about 6 years. And I do not know where the money came from. I still don't know where the money came from. I'd like to thank the Barts charity for this, because they gave us a lot. But I no idea what feats of financial legend Pete and Dean you came up with, but the money for all these chairs came from somewhere. And it's an awful lot of money. So that's what I think we really achieved at that time. Then, of course, we mentioned the Barts Cancer Institute, which I think has done extremely well. Again, took a lot of money. And, well, I think we did rather well. You've seen this, what happened in the 2008 RE. We became fourth in terms of our research quality. And I like to think that had a major impact on where Queen Mary did, coming from practically nowhere to 10th or 11th in the country. So I think the medical school had a major impact on the college's fortune. So cash is the only way to make something happen. And I think without your efforts, Pete, Dean, we wouldn't be able to do anything. I have a very ambivalent attitude to people who leave the organisation. Some people I'd like to leave, and I don't hinder it. Some people I don't like to leave, and these are a few of them. David Williams, Lon Carter, Peter Copeman, Irene Lee. David went to become Dean at Southampton. Yvonne, the Dean to Warwick. Peter to East Anglia and then George's, and Irene Lee to Dundee. And one thing I would advise you, you don't run a medical school to provide deans for others, actually. Even though if they sort of reflect well on you, I would regret these people going, because they were great support to me. And I must mention the students. Gee, you were more than generous in saying what you did. Coming from a postgraduate school, and I've not seen a student for many years, into an undergraduate school was a revelation. I'd forgotten what fun undergraduates were. And there's no doubt in the 3 medical schools I've worked in, Newcastle, Oxford, and Bath, that Bath students are by far the best. Yeah. They're talented, they're accomplished, they're cheerful, and they really seem to enjoy themselves. And I really like that about them. And I was very proud of them, actually. And one thing, other ambition I had when I came here was that I've been the president of Imperial Medics Rugby Club in the West for some time, and we cleared the goals. We were semi-finalists in the European Student Cup. We won all the cups, we won all the age cups. When I came here, we hadn't won the cup for about 25 years, and I thought, that's got to change. So there's our boys, the Checkers, playing in the cup. And this is what happened. So you can see Imperial Medics, after I left, of course, because of the rugby scholarships I was able to persuade the college to take, did extremely well. But then at the same time, we were working on the Barts teams and trying to influence Anthony Warrens and the boys to think about admitting rugby players to the college and just trying to support them in terms with funding, etc. And you can see this really worked out, because in 2012, 2013, we won the UH Cup. And if you asked me to say, which is your biggest achievement, winning the UH Cup or to win the RE, I'd be hard put to tell you which one it is. And you see, we won again in 2017. We're finalists in the last 3 years too, beat finalists. So that's given me a great deal of pleasure, more pleasure than you will know. So, what about the future? Well, I'll be too old, but I mean, I think the parts of London, I think it's, see, you can't say transmogrified, but I think it's certainly changed from when I came here. When I came here, it was a struggling medical school, morale was very low. And then, after a few years, I looked around, and you could see people were proud to be part of this medical school. And I think if I did anything to make people proud of where they work, and I think that's carried on. People are proud to be part of this institution, and I'm one of them. So I think the future of the medical school is established, and also for the trust, as we said. I laboured long and hard on the trust all through many closeted afternoons, trying to get the academic agenda going, not all succeeding. Eventually, I think we do have a better relationship. The future of our own research is really based in these people here, all of whom have been more or less successful, some more, some less. Stuart MacDonald, Simon, who's a senior lecturer in BCI, Simon Leedham in Oxford, Trevor Graham, who you heard from today, now one of our professors, and Marnix Janssen, who's at University College, unfortunately, where you come with them. So, the future of my personal research is really based on these young men, right? Some are younger than others. MacDonald, how old are you? 50? Yeah, so I'll keep a farther eye on what they're doing. And there are two other people I should mention. That's Annie Baker, I think one of the best postdocs we've had in my group for a very long time. And my last PhD student, Will Cross, who is also a mature student, you'd like me to tell you that, but I expect great things of. So I will watch these people's progress for the next few years with great pleasure and, I'm sure, satisfaction. As you know, gratitude is a very difficult emotion to sustain. And the reason I always say this is because when you do something for somebody, they always forget about it. And they say, what have you done for me this week? You know? And so my wife often said, how could he treat you so badly after all you've done for him? And I'd smile and say, gratitude is a difficult emotion to sustain. But there are thanks I have to give. And the first thing I have to thank is to Delphine and Nick for organising this wonderful day for me. I found things about myself today which I didn't know. I don't really believe, but I mean, I suppose I have to come to terms with that. Because you've all been very kind, well, most of you, apart from Professor Hart. And maybe, because you tend not to look back. You tend not to look back. And I very rarely have ever looked back. But I mean, looking back at all that's happened over the last 50-odd years, it's been a real pleasure to see what little effect I've had. And I'd also like to thank the Centre for Human Biology, who welcomed me back as their head back in 2013, 12, and then the last 5 years have been very pleasurable. I succeeded in Hart, a very difficult act to follow, and he complained to me that I did not give him enough TLC. I was always far more demanding than he was, and of course, that's why we got more grant money in the end. Thank you very much for that. And then, of course, I have to thank my family who's made my career necessary. You can see my wife there in the middle, and my son on the right, who's just arrived in the nick of time. He's the headmaster, just started his position as the headmaster of Belsham Grammar School for Boys, a 1,300 state grammar school in Cheshire, and I'm very, very proud of him. There's my daughter who's over there, who's a partner in Deloitte, and so I'm proud of her too. And then, of course, there's my wife, and here she is with my daughter. I'd like to thank Vera for sticking with me through thick and thin. And believe you me, there's been more thin than thick. It's been a bit, because we started out with very little money. I dragged her out of her home in Newcastle to go to Oxford, driven by ambition. Off to Hammersmith. I mean, when I first drove her to Hammersmith, leaving the leafy suburbs of Oxford, and went down Duquesne Road past the prison, she said, "Where are you taking me?" Fast forward on to 2001, I was driving down to the East End to Commercial Road, and she said, "Where are you taking me now?" So I owe her a great deal, and for all the support, financial, spiritual, and moral, and physical support for keeping me going when I've not been very well. I thank you very much indeed. Here's my daughter and my son, and it's funny now, I sometimes think back, we're still supporting them when they're almost 50, so... So, one or two other things, I suppose I should give you some advice. As I'm going, or the future is going, if you listen to me, that's your problem. So I'll try and give you something. Leadership. I see you can go to courses on leadership. I get these adverts saying, come and learn to be a leader. I don't know if you can do it by that. I mean, I think the thing about leadership is all you have to do is have a plan. And say, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do. And then recruit people of like mind and lead them in that direction. It's very easy. I mean, I've always found that when we use this thing, it all depends on the people you select. So you've got to get the right people. I've never been one much for strategy. Every university writes a strategy for 5 years. And they all say, we want to be in the top 10% of universities. Very crowded place it will be. And the point about strategy, if you have a fixed strategy, you can't take advantage of things that change. Because everything changes. You can't have a strategy which is laid down. My strategy has been to do what we do now, but better. That's the only strategy I've ever had. And I think that's a very wise thing to do. And writing all these pages of strategy is a complete waste of time. Do what you do now, but better. And then, this is for you, Ian Hart. I think that failure is not the worst thing. You can fail. There's nothing wrong with failing. Right? But lapsing into mediocrity is the pits. You do not want to lapse into mediocrity. Better to fail and stop than become mediocre. So please avoid mediocrity. And for you young people, you can go to classes on mentorship. Right? They teach you how to become a mentor. You say, seek a mentor. Of course, mentors are very important to you. It's a big sort of business these days. But I say, it's not the most important thing. A mentor will advise you to apply for a job. But a sponsor will ensure you get it. So if you can get a sponsor, they'll make sure you get the job, Phil Quirk, yes. They will expect to get the job. So I advise you to look at a sponsor rather than a mentor. I did play rugby. These are the boys I played rugby with. The tall lad in the centre you would have heard of. That's Graham Teasdale, now Sir Graham Teasdale, who designed the Glasgow Cone scale. He was a neurosurgeon. He was as blind as a bat, but I mean, he was obviously very good. And these are boys I played rugby with, and this is me, and you've seen that before. I like to think I was good. I probably wasn't. But one thing I do know, I was not as good as my grandson. You see him in the front row. There he is, kidding some poor chap. And there he is now. He plays for St Paul's first 15, and I'm very, very proud of him. So, retirement for the 1%, you can't even afford to die there, don't retire. So, Nick, having made me emeritus professor, you're not getting rid of me. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I really enjoyed myself, and thank you for being so kind to me. Thank you.